Welcome to my November 2018 reading summary. In November, I read 9 books. I think I read less books than in most of the other months this year, and also less books than in the previous year's months. One reason for this is because I did not participate in the readathon with my friends in November because I was very busy. My partner's mother came to stay with us for a week. I celebrated my birthday. I had a couple of other events. So I didn't spend as much time reading in November, and I was generally just very busy. After some of that busyness, I also needed time to rest, and I felt too tired to read. I would have actually read only 8 books if it were not for the fact that I finished reading like the last, 100 pages of a big book right at the beginning of November. Pages wise, I read 3,399 pages in November, which is not too far behind October. As I mentioned, that part of the reason for that is that in the very beginning of November, I read the last, 100 pages of this 1,000+ page book that I have been reading since March or April. So if it wasn't for that, my pages would actually be a lot less. So yeah. If we look at the statistics in a pie chart, you will see that November's books is only 4% of the books that I've read this year so far, which is quite a bit behind the other months of the year. However, pages wise, it isn't quite so bad as well. I definitely seem to have had peaks in April and May, and also a bit in July and March and September, and yeah. In November, I read 2 children's books, 4 young adult books, and 3 books for adults. I read no picture books. This actually makes a little bit of a change from earlier months, in which I read either most books for adults or lots of books for children's. But in November, I actually read more YA books than anything else, although the differences are relatively small. In November, I read 7 new to me books. I reread 1 book, and 1 book was a combination. That was Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, which I had read parts of before online through her Tumblr page, but not all of it, so some of the book was new to me and some of the book was kind of a reread. Then for the genres, I read 1 fantasy book in November, 1 science fiction book, 5 contemporary fiction books, 1 biography, and 2 information books. Although I should point out that the book by Aaron Gillies, How to Survive the End of the World When It's in Your Own Head, an anxiety survival guide, I counted as both a biography and as information because it's kind of both genres. I read no rom-com books, no historical fiction, no literature, no detectives, no thrillers, no horror, no paranormal books, and no Disney books in November. This graph shows you the amount of books I read per month, per genre, and contemporary fiction is indeed the highest, just as in the other months, and the other genres, well, a little bit, because I only read like 1 book of each, so. It's not the most interesting graph this month. The shortest books read this month were This Winter by Alice Oseman, 44 pages, and Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman, 82 pages, and these 2 were both solitaire novellas. The longest books read this month were The Neutronium Alchemist by Peter F. Hamilton, 1,273 pages. This was a reread. Solitaire by Alice Oseman, which was 394 pages. Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan, which was also 394 pages. And lastly, The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill was 388 pages. My favorite books of the month were The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I really loved this magical story. Then The Neutronium Alchemist by Peter F. Hamilton. This was a reread and I really loved rereading this book. Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. Heartstopper was so cute and I loved it so much. Then we have How to Survive the End of the World When It's in Your Own Head by Erin Gillies. I found this a very useful and funny book and also very relatable, and yeah, it's the best book I've read on anxiety so far. And lastly, Het idee MV by Asja ten Broeke. I really liked the ideas of gender norms that the author put in this book and the researchers talked about, and I found it a very interesting book to read. Least favorite books of the month? None. I had no books I disliked this month. I only read 9 books, so other than the 5 favorites I showed you, there were 4 other books I read, which I liked a lot, but I didn't dislike any of them, so no least favorites this month. That concludes my November 2018 reading summary. I wasn't too impressed with this month in terms of amount of books and page counts, but I read a lot of really nice books and I am very happy about that. I'm hoping I can do some more reading at least next year. Hopefully also in December, but December is always a busy month with the holidays coming up and everything. So we will see. But yeah, I am glad that at least the books I did read in November were all good to really good. Thank you very much for watching my November reading summary, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!